Angelo Dundee should not have been driving. 89 years old. Heart disease. Emphysema. Hands that trembled even when they were still. His cardiologist had been clear 3 months ago. Angelo, no more driving. Your reflexes aren't what they were. One mistake and you're gone. But on October 14, 2011, at 4:30 in the morning, Angelo Dundee got into his 2004 Honda Accord and started driving from Miami to Phoenix. 18 hours. 1,300 miles. 3 states. Alone. Because he had to tell Muhammad Ali the truth before one of them died. The sun hadn't risen yet when Angelo pulled out of his driveway. His wife had died 2 years earlier. His kids lived in different states. Nobody knew he was making this trip. Nobody would have let him if they'd known. But Angelo wasn't asking permission. Wasn't asking for help. This was between him and Ali. Between a trainer and his fighter. Between 2 men who'd spent 21 years together in boxing rings across the world. Between 2 men who shared a secret that only one of them knew existed. Angelo's hands gripped the steering wheel. Not tight, the arthritis wouldn't allow that. Just steady. Determined. The way he'd gripped the corner stool in Manila 36 years ago when he'd almost made the biggest mistake of his life. Interstate 10 stretched ahead. Empty at this hour. Just Angelo and the highway and the thing he'd been carrying for 13,862 days. He'd counted. Every October 1st, the anniversary of the thrilla in Manila, he'd marked another year. Another 365 days of keeping the secret. Of living with what he'd almost done. Of wondering if he should have told Ali back then, or 10 years ago, or ever. Now time had made the decision for him. Because Angelo's heart was failing. The doctors had given him 6 months. Maybe less. And Muhammad Ali, the greatest 3-time heavyweight champion, the man Angelo had trained to legendary status, Ali was disappearing into Parkinson's disease. Could barely speak. Barely moved. Barely registered the world around him. If Angelo didn't tell him now, he never would. The truth would die with him. And Ali would never know what happened in that corner between rounds 14 and 15 in Manila. Would never know how close Angelo came to stopping the fight, to throwing in the towel, to robbing him of the greatest victory in boxing history. The sun rose over Alabama around 10 a.m. Angelo had been driving for 5.5 hours. His back ached. His chest felt tight. Not heart attack tight, just the constant pressure of a body slowly giving up. He needed to stop. Needed to rest. Needed to take his medications. But he kept driving. Because stopping meant thinking. And thinking meant questioning. And questioning meant maybe turning around. Angelo couldn't turn around. Not now. Not after carrying this weight for 36 years. He stopped once for gas in Texas. The attendant, a young kid, maybe 20, looked at him with concern. "You okay, sir? You look pale." "I'm fine," Angelo said. His voice was hoarse. He hadn't spoken in hours. "Just a long drive." "Where you headed?" "Phoenix." The kid's eyes widened. "From where?" "Miami." That's a whole day of driving. You doing that alone?" Angelo nodded. Paid for the gas. Walked back to his car. The kid watched him go, probably wondering if he should call someone. Tell someone that an old man who looked like death was driving cross-country alone. But Angelo got in his car, started the engine, kept driving. Through Texas. Through New Mexico. Into Arizona. The landscape changed from green to brown to red. From humidity to dry heat. From familiar to foreign. Angelo had been to Phoenix before. Many times. Training camps. Press conferences. The city where Ali had spent his final years after the boxing world moved on. But this trip was different. This wasn't business. This was reckoning. By 3 p.m., Angelo's vision was blurring. Not from the sun. From exhaustion. From emotion. From the knowledge of what he was about to do. He pulled over at a rest stop. Sat in his car with the engine off. The Arizona heat pressed against the windows. His shirt was soaked with sweat. Angelo closed his eyes. Tried to remember Ali as he was. Young. Fast. Beautiful. The Louisville lip talking trash and backing it up. The champion floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee. But all Angelo could see was Manila. Round 14. Ali slumped on the stool. Eyes swollen shut. Body shutting down. 14 rounds of hell with Joe Frazier in 104-degree heat. And Angelo standing there with a towel in his hand. Ready to end it. Ready to save his fighter's life. Ready to stop the greatest fight in history 1 round early. Until Ali looked at him and said 2 words. Just 2 words that changed everything. Angelo opened his eyes. Looked at himself in the rearview mirror. 89 years old. Wrinkled. Tired. Dying. But still carrying that moment. Still feeling the weight of that towel in his hand. Still hearing those 2 words. He started the car. Drove the final hour to Phoenix. Arrived at the hospital at 4:37 p.m. 18 hours and 7 minutes after leaving Miami. Parked crooked across 2 spaces. Could barely unfold himself from the driver's seat. His legs were stiff. His back was screaming. His heart was pounding in a way that scared him. But he walked through those hospital doors anyway. Asked for Muhammad Ali's room number. The receptionist looked at him strangely. "Are you family?" "I'm his trainer," Angelo said. Then corrected himself. "I was his trainer. For 21 years. The receptionist's expression changed. Recognition. "You're Angelo Dundee." "Yeah. Mr. Ali isn't. He's not doing well." "Are you on the visitor list?" "I drove 18 hours to be here," Angelo said quietly. "I need to see him. Please." Something in his voice. Something desperate. Something final. Made her nod. Room 412. 4th floor. Angelo took the elevator. Each floor felt like it took an hour. His reflection in the polished doors looked like a ghost. Pale. Thin. Barely there. The elevator opened. 4th floor. Angelo walked down the corridor. His shoes squeaking on the linoleum. His breathing labored. Room 412. Door slightly open. Angelo paused outside. His hand on the doorframe. His heart hammering. This was it. The moment he'd been driving toward. The confession he'd been carrying for 13,862 days. He could still leave. Could get back in his car. Could take the secret to his grave. Let the legend stay intact. Let history remember it the way everyone thought it happened. But Angelo knew he couldn't do that. Because he loved Ali. Really loved him. Not as a commodity. Not as a meal ticket. But as a man. As a fighter. As someone who'd trusted him with his life for 21 years. And that love demanded truth. Even if the truth was painful. Even if it changed things. Angelo pushed open the door. Walked inside. Muhammad Ali lay in the hospital bed. Silent. Still. Eyes open but unfocused. The Parkinsons having stolen almost everything except the shell. Lonnie, Ali's wife, sat in a chair beside the bed. She looked up when Angelo entered. Her eyes widened. "Angelo? Did you drive here?" "From Miami." Angelo nodded. Couldn't speak yet. His throat was too tight. Lonnie stood. Came over. Her hand on his arm. "Are you okay? You look—" "I'm fine," Angelo managed. I need to talk to him. Need to tell him something. Angelo, he hasn't spoken in days. He might not understand." "I know. But I gotta say it anyway. Even if he don't hear. Even if he don't understand. I gotta say it." Lonnie looked at him. Really looked at him. Saw something in his face that made her stop arguing. "What do you need to tell him?" Angelo's eyes filled with tears. "The truth. About Manila. About what happened in the corner. About what I almost did." Lonnie was quiet for a long moment. Then, "You want me to leave?" "Please." She nodded. Kissed Ali's forehead. Squeezed Angelo's shoulder as she passed. "Take all the time you need." The door closed behind her. Angel was alone with Muhammad Ali. Just like they'd been alone in dozens of corners. In gyms. In locker rooms. In moments before and after fights that changed history. But this was different. This wasn't preparation. This was confession. Angelo pulled a chair close to the bed. Sat down slowly. His body protesting every movement. He looked at Ali. At the man who'd given him 21 years of glory. who'd made him famous, who'd trusted him with everything. And Angelo started talking. "Champ," Angelo said. His voice was barely a whisper. "I don't know if you can hear me, but I gotta tell you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago." Ali didn't respond, didn't blink, didn't move, just lay there, breathing, existing. Angelo wiped his eyes. "It's about Manila, about the third fight with Joe, about October 1st, 1975, the thriller in Manila, greatest fight in history. That's what everyone says. And they're right. It was." He paused, gathering himself. "But there's something nobody knows. Something that happened in the corner between rounds 14 and 15. Something I never told nobody. Not the press. Not your family. Not even you." Angelo's hands were shaking. He clasped them together. Tried to stop the tremor. "You came back to that corner after round 14, champ. And I looked at you and I knew. I knew you were done. Your eyes were swollen shut. You could barely see. Your body was shutting down. You'd gone 14 rounds with Joe Frazier, 14 rounds of pure hell, in 104-degree heat. You'd given everything." Angelo's voice cracked. "And Joe was still coming. Still dangerous. Still trying to kill you. And I thought one more round could kill him. Really kill him. Not just hurt him. Kill him." He looked at Ali's face, at the silent, expressionless features, searching for any sign of understanding. Finding none. "So I made a decision, champ. I picked up the towel. I swear to God, I had it in my hand. I was gonna throw it in. Was gonna stop the fight. Was gonna save your life." Angelo's voice dropped to a whisper. "Was gonna rob you of the greatest victory of your career." He wiped his face, tears running freely now. "I had the towel. Was ready to throw it. Was ready to end it. And then you looked at me." Angelo paused. The memory so clear it might have happened yesterday instead of 36 years ago. "Your eyes were swollen. You could barely see through the slits. But you looked right at me, and you said 2 words. Just 2 words." Angelo's voice broke completely. "Trust me. That's what you said. Trust me." He put his head in his hands. "And I did, champ. I put the towel down. I sent you back out there. And Joe's corner threw in the towel instead. And you won. And history was made. And everyone thinks you would have fought forever. That you never considered quitting. That your corner never doubted you." Angelo looked up. At Ali. At the legend. "But the truth is I almost stopped it. Almost threw that towel. Almost made the decision for you. Because I was scared. Because I thought I knew better. Because I thought saving your life was more important than trusting you." He reached out. Put his hand on Ali's hand. The champion's hand was still. Unmoving. "And for 36 years I've been living with that. Been asking myself, what if I had thrown it? What if I hadn't trusted you? What if I'd stopped the greatest fight in history 1 round early?" Angelo's tears fell onto the hospital blanket. "Would you have forgiven me? Would you have hated me? Would you have understood I was trying to save you?" He squeezed Ali's hand gently. "I'll never know. Because you won. Because Joe's corner stopped it. Because the decision got taken away from me." Angelo was quiet for a moment. Just breathing. Just being present with his fighter one last time. "But I needed to tell you, champ. Needed you to know. Before one of us is gone. That the corner almost quit. That I almost quit on you. That for 5 seconds. Maybe less, maybe more. I doubted you." He leaned closer. "And I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry. You trusted me for 21 years. With your career. With your life. With everything. And the one time you asked me to trust you back. The one time you needed me to believe in you. I almost didn't." Angelo's voice was barely audible now. "You were the greatest fighter I ever trained. The greatest I ever saw. And I almost took your greatest moment from you. Because I was scared. Because I forgot who you were. Because for 5 seconds, I thought I knew better than Muhammad Ali." He sat back in the chair. Exhausted. Emotionally drained. The confession having taken everything he had left. "I don't expect you to forgive me," Angelo said quietly. "Don't even know if you hear me. Don't even know if you understand. But I had to tell you. Had to get it out. Had to let you know the truth before it's too late. The room was silent except for the sound of machines. The beeping monitors. The oxygen. The mechanical evidence of life continuing. Angelo sat there for a long time, just looking at Ali. At the man who'd defined his life. Who'd given him purpose. Who'd trusted him when trust was all that mattered. Then something happened. Small. Maybe imaginary. Maybe real. Ali's hand moved. Just slightly. The fingers closing around Angelo's hand. A squeeze so gentle it might have been involuntary. But Angelo felt it, and he chose to believe it meant something. Forgiveness. Understanding. Acknowledgement. He squeezed back. Thank you, champ, for everything. For letting me be in your corner. For trusting me. For being the greatest. Angelo stood slowly, his body protesting. He leaned down, kissed Ali's forehead. I love you, champ. Always have. Always will. He turned to leave, made it to the door. Outside in the hallway, a nurse was standing there. Maria Gonzalez, 52 years old, 20 years in healthcare, her phone in her hand. She looked at Angelo with tears in her eyes. I recorded it, she said quietly. I hope that's okay. I thought it was important. Thought people should know. Angelo looked at her. Tired. Relieved. Empty. Yeah, he said. People should know. He walked past her. Down the hallway. To the elevator. Out to his car. Sat in the driver's seat for 20 minutes. Just breathing. Just existing. The weight he'd carried for 13,862 days was gone. Not completely, but lighter. Manageable. He'd told the truth. Had confessed. Had apologized. And whether Ali heard him or not, Angelo had done what he needed to do. He started the car. Drove to a hotel. Checked in. Collapsed on the bed. Slept for 14 hours straight. The deepest sleep he'd had in 36 years. Angelo Dundee died 4 months later. February 1st, 2012. Heart failure. Surrounded by family. Muhammad Ali died 4 years after that. June 3rd, 2016. Complications from Parkinson's. Surrounded by family. The recording that Nurse Maria Gonzalez made wasn't released until after both men were gone. She'd kept it private. Kept it safe. Waiting for the right moment. That moment came in November 2016. 5 months after Ali's death. When the recording was released, the boxing world stopped. 18 minutes and 43 seconds of Angelo Dundee confessing what nobody knew. What nobody suspected. What changed how people understood the greatest fight in history. The revelation that Ali's corner had almost stopped it. That Angelo Dundee had picked up the towel. Had been seconds away from throwing it in. That the thriller in Manila, the fight that defined toughness, defined will, defined the human capacity to endure, had almost ended 1 round early. Not because Joe Frazier's corner stopped it, but because Muhammad Ali's corner almost did. The 2 words Ali said, "Trust me," became legendary. Proof of Ali's awareness even in his darkest moment. Proof of his will. Proof of his understanding of what that fight meant. And Angelo's confession became proof of something else. The burden that corners carry. The impossible decisions. The weight of holding someone's life in your hands and having to choose between saving them and believing in them. Historians debated it. Journalists wrote about it. Documentaries featured it. But the people who mattered most, the fighters, the trainers, the people who actually understood what happened in that corner, they knew. They knew that Angelo Dundee loved Muhammad Ali enough to almost stop the fight, and loved him enough to trust him instead. They knew that Ali was great enough to ask for trust when he had nothing left, and great enough to prove that trust was deserved. The thriller in Manila was the greatest fight in boxing history, but it almost wasn't, and now everyone knows why. Not because of what happened in the ring, but because of what almost happened in the corner. Because of a towel that almost got thrown, and a trust that almost got broken, and 2 words that changed everything. Trust me. And Angelo did. At the moment it mattered most. That's the real story of Manila. Not just the punches. Not just the endurance. But the moment between rounds when a trainer had to choose between fear and faith. And chose faith. and made history possible.